Alrighty, making this video because once again, been using Microsoft recently to code my Java programs, and it's not the software programming that I'm pissed off about. It's not the memory allocation, the speed of the processor, so Windows PC. It's not, the hardware side of Microsoft or the operating system. That's fine. Microsoft Office 365, once again, it's got hardware issues all around. Loading, updating, accessing, downloading, storage. Operating system fucked up. Why do I like Office 365? Because the application, it's quality. It's quality. It's a quality word processor, quality spreadsheet, a lot of features, reliable. So I look past all the fucking crashing and the uploading and the loading and the storaging and the memory and the downloading and the update. I look past all that. But when I go between my two computers, my three Microsoft computers, because I code in different parts of the house, I got 3 computers. And as I'm copying versions and saving changes and modifying on 3 different computers, it's not the capabilities that piss me off. The loading, it's the loading, the memory, it's the office stuff, like the navigation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the day-to-day tasks. Nothing to do with the software, nothing to do with the application, nothing to do with the memory, with the hard disk, with the processor, nothing to do with the actual fucking PC, which is a piece of shit anyways. Apple, because Apple's better, 1,000 times better. But it's the day-to-day capabilities of fucking Windows computers. For example, what the fuck is OneDrive? You got Google Google Drive, Google Photos. You got Apple Photos, Apple iCloud. Cloud and Drive for Google and Apple. Now you got Microsoft Photos and Drive. What the fuck is the difference? On Microsoft, it doesn't work. It doesn't fucking work. And what pisses me off is remember I said Microsoft shoves shit down your throat? They always shove shit down your throat. They're shoving this shit down your throat to the maximum, to the extreme. When you go into your computer nowadays, look in the Windows PC. What do you see under users, under your pictures, downloads, documents? What do you see when you go there? How do you access that? Let me do it right now. This PC, all right? I'm clicking this PC. On the left-hand side, where you have your memory for which files you need. I got home, I got gallery, and then I got 15 folders. Where are all these folders? Desktop, documents, music, pictures, scans, videos. So you're a new user, right? And you're saving all your shit into here. And you think you're saving on your computer. But you're not. Where's all this shit located? Where's all this shit? Your videos, your pictures, your documents, your downloads. Where's all that? Oh. Look at the location. C, users, Nicola, OneDrive, music. So it's not C, users, Nicola, music on your computer. It's C, users, Nicola, OneDrive, music. So your entire fucking library of your computer is stored on OneDrive. Now that's because this OneDrive has this status. Okay, it's got the name, it's got the date, it's got the size, and it's got status. An extra status, there's a picture of a cloud. There's a picture of a cloud and a check mark, which means your entire fucking computer should be syncing with a cloud. So first of all your data, not just your photos and your drive, what you want to upload to Google Photos, Google Cloud, Apple Cloud, not just what you want to upload, but your entire fucking computer is stored on a cloud. Your documents, your downloads, your music, your videos, everything stored on OneDrive. Because how do I get to local? How do I get to fucking local? How do I get to local? Let's scroll down. Do I see anything local? Nope. I see this PC and I see Windows. How the fuck do I get to local? Let me click Nicola's shortcut. All right, I made a shortcut for local. That's what I had to do. I had to make a shortcut for local. The only way to get to local is to fucking be an engineer and go Windows, users, Nicola, and now I'm in local. That's the only way. There's no shortcut. There's no fucking shortcut. They don't want you going local. Your entire fucking computer is backed up onto cloud. That's the only option there is. And every time you save something to downloads, it'll go into the cloud. I fuck with you not, it'll go into cloud. Every time you upload a video, a photo, a document, it goes automatically into cloud. You transfer files, it goes automatically into fucking cloud. Now, beyond the fuckwit of personal privacy that fucks with, let's think of it on a functionality level. Fine, what's the benefits? The benefits is if you switch PCs, if you go to a laptop, you can go to your fucking folder, users, OneDrive, and all your shit will be there, right? All your shit will be there. Wrong. Doesn't fucking work. No matter what you put on that OneDrive and the little fucking status bar that turns from a cloud into a check mark, go on another computer. Wait 2 days for it to refresh. Wait 2 days. Wait 2 years. Wait 2 years. It'll never refresh. The only way the actual cloud fucking works is to log on to Microsoft.com, which is fucking impossible to log on to Microsoft.com. Find your account, find your OneDrive. If it loads, so first of all, it's impossible to fucking log on. Second is it doesn't load. And then that's your cloud, right? Wrong. Nothing's there. So what the fuck is going on? I cannot connect the dots. What the fuck is going on? Now you want to take your cloud storage on your computer, put files onto that account which you can't log into and doesn't load on the internet, onto there, and then go into your laptop, log onto that account which you can't log into and doesn't load, and from there take those files, and that's your cloud storage, and download them onto your local cloud, which doesn't fucking work. That's what I'm working with in a nutshell. So what's the solution? Use Apple or Google. Use Apple or Google. That's a solution. Now, because it's pissed me off so much, let's do a stock update. All right? Let's see what the fuck's happening. So, all right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to search for the biggest companies in the USA. Just type in biggest companies in US stock market. For each one, we're going to open a new tab. And we're going to type the stock symbol. And we're going to type the word stock or stock price. All right? For about 10 stocks. That's going to spit out a quick little summary in Google right on the homepage. I got Google open here already. Now, the thing you got to be careful is with it, they always show you 1 day history. That's not enough. Nobody fucking gives a fuck about 1 day history unless you're a day trader. So make sure you change from 1 day history into 5 years. That's the most it goes, all right? So 5 years. So we're going to type in the 10 biggest companies, stock price, load it up the tab, and change the graph to 5 years. And underneath that, it tells you open, high, low of the stock price. But the one we're concerned with is market cap. So, well, market cap is the value of the company, the value of the stock, the value of the stock. So, got Google open here, and next to the graph, depending on how many years you selected, it'll tell you how much changed over those 5 years. So I got Google open here. Google open. I click 5 years, plus 207% in 5 years, 207% in 5 years. Market cap 4.6 trillion. 4.6 trillion. All right, that's Google. 4.6 trillion, 200% in 5 years. Let's do Apple. 5 years. 147% in 5 years. 4.6 trillion. So Apple is 4.6 trillion. Google is 4.6 trillion. Google is just $10 billion more than Apple. They're both 4.6 trillion. Apple went up 150% and Google went up 200% in 5 years. All right. But the biggest one is NVIDIA. So let's go in NVIDIA stock. NVIDIA. 5 years went up 1,000% because the AI boom. And it's 5.1 trillion. So the biggest company in the world is 5.1 trillion. And Google and Apple are tied second at 4.6 trillion. So $0.5 trillion less. It goes 5.1 trillion for NVIDIA, 4.6 trillion for Google and Apple. Now I'm guessing that's 1, 2, 3. After that comes your Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, right? So let's go Amazon. That's where you want to be. Google, Apple, NVIDIA. That's where you want to be. Google, Apple, NVIDIA. That's where you want to be. Amazon. Oh, okay. It improved recently. Okay. 68% past 5 years. 2.9 trillion. 2.9 trillion. All right. 68% past 5 years. 2.9 trillion. Let's go Microsoft. Microsoft. 80% past 5 years. 80% past 5 years. Okay. Went really down. Hasn't really moved since 2024. But 3.3 trillion value. 3.3 trillion. All right. 80%. Amazon 60%. Now, is that a good investment? Is that a good investment? 60%, 80% in 5 years. That's not compounding. Without compounding, 80 divided by 5 is 16. 16% return without compounding per year for Microsoft. And for Amazon, it's 14% per year. Is that a good investment? You want to invest per year, aiming for 14%, 16%, knowing there could be a recession or some shit? Well, let's assume 5 years, big time span. Mind you, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ go up 18% per year by themselves. So you can pick any motherfucking random stock in the NASDAQ and get 18% a year. Or you can go with Microsoft and Amazon and get your 16% a year. Is that a good investment? Regardless that it's $3 trillion in size, you're getting 16% a year. That's not good enough for me. If I'm going to risk my money, I want at least 30. That's the minimum. 25 to 30. I aim for 30 and I land on 25. That's my result. That's my aim. If I'm going to risk my money, I need at least 30. I'm not aiming for 16, 18, 16. So Microsoft and Amazon are not quality investments over the past 5 years. Not worth it. 60% and 80%. Whereas Google is 200%, Nvidia 1,000%, and Apple 150%. 150% over 5 years, not compounding, that's your 30%. That's your 30%. Google 40%. Google 40% a year, Apple 30% a year, Nvidia 200% a year. That's what you want. That you gotta look for that. You gotta look for that. That's what you want. So, what else we got? Now we got your Facebook. Okay, Facebook stock. 5 years, 90%. I don't know, 90% for Facebook. 1.6 trillion. So it's smaller than all the rest. 90% in 5 years. It's about 18% a year without compounding. 18%. 18% a year. Facebook, 5 years, 1.16 trillion. What else do we got? Let's check. My favorite Disney stock. Disney. 5 years. Went down 40% in 5 years. Went down 40% in 5 years. $170 billion. All right. Netflix, they were doing good, but they recently went to shit. Netflix. Past 5 years, okay, 70%. 70% past 5 years for Netflix. 360 billion. And how much was Disney? 170 billion. So 200 billion more still is Netflix worth than Disney. And Disney's like a 100-year-old company. Destroyed by Netflix. Which only does content. Only does content. Not theme parks, rides, attractions, brand image, nothing. Nothing. Hollywood blockbusters, no. No. And then we got Uber. Uber, just a little bit less than Disney. 20% past 5 years. Started off as the biggest hype. I remember when Uber 2021 came out with where the next big IPO, where the next IPO. Uber finally came out with a stock. What's it gonna be? Went to the shit. Then it increased 300% in 3 years, and then it went down. And so over its history, 5 years, went up 40%. Went up 40% in 5 years, $140 billion, which is roughly $40% more than what it IPO'd at 5 years ago. So that's your main ones. You got your Uber, which is the lowest. Then you got your Disney. Then you got your Netflix. Then you got your Facebook. Then you got your Amazon. Then you got Microsoft. Then you got your Apple, Google, and Nvidia. That's the ones I look at. And then the other companies, big companies after that, those are the biggest. So technology, not the Disney and the Uber and the Netflix, but the other guys are the biggest. And then come the oil, the telecommunications, and the banks in America. Because if we look up biggest companies in the US stock market, now it tells me it in Canadian dollars, whatever. The order is still the same. Tesla, I forgot. Tesla is just bigger than Facebook. And how much did Tesla go up? How much did Tesla go up in 5 years? 120%. 120% for Tesla. $1.4 trillion, 120%. Which seems like, oh yeah, it's a great stock, right? It's a great stock. Tesla, great investment. Not great investment, fancy technology, yada, 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 right? The thing about Tesla is the amount of revenue and the amount of sales that they generate, including the profit margins, I'm assuming. I'm not too certain about the profit margins. But the amount of sales they make, revenue, per year, is not even in the top 10 of car companies. Not even in the top 10. It doesn't beat Ford, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Kia, Mazda, Acura, Chevrolet, GM. It doesn't beat all these companies in terms of sales and revenue. And the next biggest company, car company, after like Tesla, which is $1.4 trillion, is like $300 billion. That's where the next biggest guys are. Ferrari, Porsche, Mercedes. They're all $300 billion. Ford, even Ford is like around that place, $300 billion. And Tesla's 1.4 trillion with not even making revenue in the top 10. That's what I'm saying. Because if we go Ford stock, let's see how much Ford is worth. Ford, New York Stock Exchange symbol F, is worth $70 billion. $70 billion. $70 billion. And Tesla's 1.4 trillion. And that's Ford. Past 5 years went up 10%. Ford. Let's go with Ferrari. Ferrari, 60 billion euros. So $70 billion Ford, $60 billion Ferrari. But it went up 70% and 65% in the past 5 years. Ferrari, 60 billion. Mercedes. Mercedes, 50 billion euro. 50, so not even the 200 billion that I was saying, 50 billion. But this is, Mercedes, 50 billion euro. What else we got? Toyota. I'm going to search it up in US dollars. It tells me Japan dollars. 50 trillion Japan. So let's convert that. 50 trillion Japan to US dollars. That is, 300 billion. Right? So Toyota is 300 billion US dollars. So Toyota 300 billion and Ford, Ferrari, Mercedes 50 billion. I think though, when I was searching up the stock market for these European car companies, they split up their company. They split up the stock. So they have like A class shares, B class shares, and C class shares. So they might have 50 billion A class of their company, 50 billion B class, and 50 billion C class of their company. So they might actually total up to $200 billion, which is what I initially assumed. So Toyota, 300 billion, same with Ford. So all these other car companies, 200 billion. And what about Nissan? Oh, Nissan's a lot smaller than Japan, but like I said, this might be just one branch of Nissan. I'm not sure. It's a lot. It's 1/50th. It's 1 trillion, and Toyota is 50 trillion. Nissan's tiny. What about Honda? Honda, 6.5 trillion Japan, US dollars. A bit bigger than Nissan, but not as big as Toyota. Let's go to PlayStation. Sony. Sony stock. All right, about 40% of Toyota. So I think Toyota is the biggest company in Japan, and then Sony is probably 40% of that. So Sony was 40% of 300 billion, maybe like 150 billion. Say 100, round up to 150 billion. So Sony is worth 150 billion, roughly Disney numbers and. What's around Disney? Uber, right? Uber, Disney is the size of Sony. Netflix is bigger, and Facebook and Tesla are bigger. Now, if I look up top 10 car companies by revenue, right? Top 10 car companies are by revenue. Volkswagen, $360 billion. This thing about these AI results is always wrong. It told me this top 10 stock charts from like 5 years ago. So I can't trust this, but let's just pretend this is accurate. I'm not sure it even remotely is. But Volkswagen, $350 billion. Toyota, $340 billion. Ford, $180 billion. GM, $180 billion. Stellantis, $170 billion. Mercedes, $160 billion. Honda, $120 billion. Hyundai, which is Korean, I think, $100 billion. Nissan, $80 billion. BMW, $76 billion. Now, these numbers might not be accurate, but that's your top 10. Where's Tesla? BMW, Nissan, Hyundai, Honda, Mercedes, Stellantis, GM, Ford, Toyota, Volkswagen. I see German. I see GM and Ford. I see Japanese and Korean. Where's Hyundai from? South Korea. Hyundai, South Korea. And I'm sure you got Subaru. Who makes Subaru? Subaru is Japan. So that's what I'm saying. Like BMW is the 10th on that list, and it's at 70 billion. I mean, Tesla makes less than 70 billion in revenue, not even profit. Profit's less than that, obviously. So not even 70 billion in revenue. Say it was profit Tesla makes. That's the top 10. And they are $1.4 trillion. Where's this math? Where's this sense? Where's this math? That's the thing about capitalism. That's how you get rich in capitalism. That's why Elon Musk is worth $1 trillion. Not because he made $1 trillion worth of shit. He didn't make $1 trillion worth of shit. Volkswagen is made the most out of any car company on planet Earth. $360 billion. Volkswagen. Alright? They made the most cars on Earth. Tesla did not. In terms of sales, Tesla didn't even make 70 billion. And because of Western capitalism, you can go hype, and just snowball, which is a video game term for leveling up. And you can snowball from being less than 70 billion into $1.4 trillion. And all you got to do is have ownership of the stock, and Tesla's worth $1.4 trillion. Now, does that mean that Tesla has $1 trillion worth of money because their stock is worth $1.4 trillion? No. This is the fallacy that people make with the stock market. They see a company, $1 trillion, and they think that company has $1 trillion worth of money. That's not the way it works. Who has that money? The shareholders. The shareholders. In this term, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, they're the shareholders of that company. The CEOs own the most shares other than the banks and the financial institutions. The CEOs are the individuals with the most shares of that company. So when the stock price goes up, even though nothing fucking happening in the actual real world, the stock price is going up, and the CEOs, the financial institutions, the shareholders are getting mega rich. That's what it is. The shareholders are getting mega fucking rich. Not the company. Company ain't seeing a dime. Company ain't seeing a dime. Whether the stock price goes up and down, not a fucking dollar. It's the shareholders. So, let's go like this. Tesla. I don't think it's gonna return a proper result. Tesla top 10 shareholders. I'm not sure it's gonna give a proper result. Maybe it did. Elon Musk is the top shareholder of Tesla, 12.5%, until 22%, depending on reporting methods. So 20% of Tesla, Elon Musk's biggest shareholder. Vanguard and BlackRock. So Vanguard and BlackRock are shareholders in every fucking American company. Every fucking American company. And there's a big conspiracy about who really owns Bank of America, Vanguard, BlackRock, Merrill Lynch. These banks own shares of every American company, and the shareholders have a voting rights and decision authority within companies they hold, the shareholders. So, and it's impossible to find out who fucking owns BlackRock, Vanguard, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and they all change. They all change. So, Bank of America becomes Merrill Lynch, becomes BlackRock, becomes Vanguard. Like, they fucking change. So, the banking picture becomes the Federal Reserve and the central banks, and you got the 2008 housing collapse, which was caused by banks and mortgage fraud, and the government bailing out the banks, the taxpayers bailing out the banks. So the entire banking picture is a mystery. It's a big fucking mystery who runs the banks. But the biggest shareholders of every company is Vanguard and BlackRock currently. Elon Musk is the biggest at 20%, Vanguard 8%, BlackRock 6%, and then you got the rest, JP Morgan, Fidelity at 1%. Other banks at 1%. So other banks are 3%. BlackRock and Vanguard are 6 and 8%, and Elon Musk is 22% of Tesla. So when Tesla goes up in value, Tesla is not earning money. Elon Musk is earning money, Vanguard is earning money, and BlackRock is earning money. Same with every company in America. And whoever the rest of the shareholders are. Then you got your retail investors like me and you who think we can get rich, who have our little $10,000 invested in the stock market. Hey, we're also shareholders. We're also shareholders. We own 0.00000000000001% of Tesla and Amazon and Google. And yeah, we're shareholders. All right. So if you want to do your research, that's how the stock market works. We just searched up the biggest companies in the American stock market, technology stocks, and then banks, oil, energy, telecommunications come after that. And we searched up the biggest car companies. 5-year history, $1 trillion net worths, and like we didn't go into oil and energy or telecommunications or banks, Visa, MasterCard. But if you want to do more research on the stock market, that's what you got. All I was interested in was the technology sector. And now we got into banks and institutional shareholders. So if you want to do some more digging into that, go down the fucking rabbit hole. Go down the motherfucking rabbit hole and do your research. Other than that, that's how the stock market works. You gotta become a CEO, and you gotta get a big share of the shares early or at any time and let them appreciate. Get 5%, 10% shares of your company as a director, as a board member, as an institutional shareholder, a bank. And as the time goes on, nothing fucking happens with the company. They make announcement after announcement after propaganda after propaganda after propaganda. And the stock price goes up and up and up and up and up. And the shareholders get rich. And that's America. That's America. You don't see the extent of this stock market in Canada, in Europe, in South America, in Russia, in China, in India, in nowhere. Nowhere. That's only the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. BlackRock, Vanguard, Bank of America. That's it. That's America. That's America, ladies and gentlemen. America, as we like to say, America. So thanks for tuning in. Share this video. If you're a CIA agent, watch yourself, boy. Watch yourself. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know about Russia. You know about Russia. What you know about Russia? Where the fuck do you think Russia is? Where the fuck do you think Russia is? Who's guarding the president? Who's guarding the motherfucking president? Who is on the staff? Who's on the security team? Watch yourself, boy. Watch yourself. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Stay classy. Kick it 1, 2. Peace.